Thank you. Today's a very special General Assembly. We have some awards and some student acknowledgements, but also to commemorate a very special day on the Australian calendar of Anzac Day. So I'd like to start with the acknowledgement of our General Assemblies being held in the lands of the Wurundjeri people, and I wish to acknowledge them as traditional owners. I would also like to pay my respects to their elders past and present, and Aboriginal elders and other communities. Whilst you've done a great job getting in, I am going to ask you all to stand. The national anthem is performed by Alison Dickey, Victoria.
It is a particular honour for me to be standing before you today, given the significance of the service today. As a current Air Force serving member who have been deployed on both domestic and overseas operations, I continually feel inadequate to be providing the Anzac address, given the significance of other service members who have given so much more and who have gone before me. Anzac Day commemorates the landing of Australian and New Zealand troops on the Gallipoli Peninsula at dawn on the 25th of April 1915. This year will mark the 106th year since that landing. However, we remember not those Anzacs, but will pause and reflect on the service, sacrifice of over 102,000 Australians who have died in war, conflicts, and peacetime operations. We remember and pay our respects to those who've made the ultimate sacrifice in the hope that we could live in peace and preservation of the values we hold so dear. We importantly also remember and reflect on those who struggled on Anzac Day, as they are reminded of the sacrifice that they made, their mates, their families, or their loved ones who have made in defence of our great nation. This year also marks the centenary of the Royal Australian Air Force, the 100th birthday, and if I may, as an Air Force member, to take the opportunity to give a brief history of the Royal Australian Air Force. Australian air power began with the Australian Flying Corps, which with distinction during World War I, the 8 squadrons were a part of the Australian Imperial Forces and were attached with the British. During World War I, 3,000 Australians served in the Flying Corps and 175 sadly lost their lives. In 1920, the Australian Flying Corps was replaced with the Australian Air Corps, which became the Royal Australian Air Force on the 31st of March 1921 as King George V gave his assent for the prefix of Royal. An interesting fact is that on that day, the Royal Australian Air Force had actually more aircrafts than people, and that was the only time in its history that happened. During World War II, the Royal Australian Air Force personnel fought in Europe, the Pacific, New Guinea, Borneo, and the Philippines, just to name a few places. Notably, we were involved in responding to the devastating air raids on Darwin, and at that time using the Wirraway and Hudson aircrafts. Over 215,000 women and men served between 1939 to 1945, and of which 9,870 sadly has lost their lives. This included Flight Sergeant Middleton, who after a night raid at Turin, Middleton's aircraft was damaged and on low on fuel. Middleton and his second pilot were severely wounded. Despite his diminishing strength, Middleton made the decision to head towards the English coast. to ensure that his 5 crew were able to parachute to safety. Middleton, however, and 2 of his crew did not survive, and Middleton died trying to ensure the safety of his fellow crew. In recent history, we were involved in Korea, Vietnam, and in the last 20 years and to this day has seen the longest period of continuous deployment of our members over time, where we have played roles in coalition operations, peacetime operations, humanitarian missions, here at home and across the globe. We have served in East Timor, Somalia, Sudan, Iraq, and even right now here in Victoria during the 2019-20 bushfires and currently within COVID assist. From our beginnings in 1921 at RAF Base Point Cook, just less than 27 minutes away, we've become the 2nd oldest air force in the world, and which Australia relies in both during conflict and in peacetime. Globally, we have at any one time 500 to 700 people across the globe on operations. Most of these personnel will likely come home safely. However, this was not the case for the brave soldiers at Gallipoli. Anzac Day has been one of the most important days on the Australian calendar since 1916, from recognising our Anzac members who fought at Gallipoli, then to the day of the people who served in World War I, World War II, and wars and conflict and peacekeeping operations that followed. Anzac Day does not celebrate war, nor does it celebrate power over people, but marks an occasion for personnel and the public to reflect where we have demonstrated our solemn respect for those who have served and those who continue to give service to the nation. On Anzac Day, I ask you too to reflect on that service. Remember that more than 100,000 Australians who have lost their lives during military operations throughout this time. Remember those who have returned home after surviving the unsurvivable, that came home with battle scars, wounds we cannot see. Reflect on those veterans and the service they have provided. They too carry scars. Consider their service that they have to provide in the future, or still in hope of living in peace and the freedoms we all know today. I encourage you to commemorate Anzac Day on Sunday at dawn, whether it's from your home or at your local service. If you ever get a chance to speak to a veteran, please take the opportunity. Ask them about their medal, ask them about what they have experienced over time. I can assure you they will be happy to share that with you. And while our veterans at Gallipoli campaign are no longer with us, the Anzac spirit of courage, endurance and mateship lives on today. Every one of you can continue to show the Anzac spirit on a daily basis, calling out inappropriate and non-inclusive behaviour, even when it is difficult to do so, showing resilience despite adversity, and ensuring that you look after your mates. It is you, our future generations, which will continue this legacy. It is those traits that make me incredibly proud today to stand before you as we remember and honour this Anzac Day and every day, lest we forget.
Anzac Day, April 25th, is one of Australia's most important national occasions. It marks the anniversary of the first major action fought by Australian and New Zealand forces during the First World War. ANZAC stands for the Australian New Zealand Army Corps, and is a day to commemorate the lives of the Australians who died for their country, both in the First World War and other military operations. So today, I'd like you to join together in a special assembly to remember those whose lives have been lost for us and our country. I'd now like to introduce Rex and Nora, who will read out 2 poems about the Anzacs.
The following is a poem called Anzac, written by John Barrington. Within my heart, I hear the cry of loves that suffer, souls that die. And you may have no praise from me, for war bears last for Gary. only the flag of love unfurled. For peace about the weeping world, I thought, though the fiery breath of murder shrivel me in death. Yet here I stand and bow my head to those whom other bands led, because within their heads that clang of freedom's summoning trumpets rang, because they welcomed grisly pain and love at burdens, mocked at gain, with noble hope and courage high, and taught our manhood how to die. Praise, praise, and love be this who came from that red hell of stench and flame, staggering, bloody, sick, but still strong with indomitable will. Happy because in gloomiest nights their own hearts drunk them to the fires.
This poem is called In Flanders Fields and it's by John Crane. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you, from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. Could I please ask all students and staff to stand for our replaying to remember those Australians who died in service during war years, conflicts and peacekeeping operations. Red poppies are used to represent the sacrifice of shed blood. This year, the Year 10 Visual Art class have made ceramic poppies which have been made into a wreath. This wreath will now be placed at the base of the Australian flag by James Insera and Frank Theodorakopoulos. Comes from For the Fallen, a poem by English poet and writer Lawrence Binyon, which was first published in the London newspaper The Times on the 21st of September 1914. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Being closed court in Victoria Lewis to announce 2021 House Music Winners.
Hi everyone, I'm Finn.
And I'm Victoria. During week 10 of term 1, the house music competition took place. Students from all 4 houses took part in annual competition, working hard on their songs to perfect it for the performances.
We just wanted to say thank you to everyone who took their time to participate, and everyone did a really great job. Also, congratulations to the winning house, Barclay. Outstanding, quite frankly, unforgettable performance. Thank you.
This year will be the 106th year since the Anzacs first landed in Gallipoli. Today, we show our respect for those brave soldiers who sacrificed their lives for peace, joy and freedom that we have now. The spirit of Anzac describes the shared characteristics between the soldiers that allowed them to continue to fight amongst extreme adversity. It's an energy that we as Australians collectively possess. Colonel Arthur Burke describes this spirit as a torch. While it has been passed down to centuries of people, generations of people, the flame continues to burn just as bright as it did when it was first lit by those brave soldiers. Today, we ask you to commemorate the Anzacs not just by honouring the sacrifices they made and the freedoms that this gave us, but by kindling this flame. Demonstrate these same values of selflessness, determination, courage and mateship that these soldiers did, and allow their spirit to continue to burn through us.
All these values have been floating around Buckley Park College. As we, Buckley Park College, have been highlighting some of these values over the years. Responsibility, trust, acceptance, determination, and respect. These values will always help us sail through the difficulties we encounter, just like the Anzac soldiers. Build your wings with your determination, with the power you have. Stand up for your mates and let the Anzacs and Buckley Park College values burn through us. As the Anzacs have told us, don't be mistakes, learn from them. Here, I would like to say, Anzac soldiers, thank you.
As many of you would know, the annual House Theatre Festival was held here last night in the paddock. I would like to firstly congratulate all students for their participation and hard work. And secondly, I'd love to announce the winner of the House Theatre Festival for 2021. In 4th place, we had Croft. In 3rd place was Buckley. In 2nd place was Graves. And in 1st place, the winning house for 2021 was Hoffman. And please welcome Emily Newton and Hayden.
It is impossible for me to exaggerate how much time and effort that has been put in by all of the cast and backstage members in this year's House Theatre. And thank you, Hoffman, for all your hard work you all put into this past semester. I'd like this end applause to be dedicated to everyone who worked so hard on last night's performance.
The results of the swimming carnival and the winning house. But before I do that, I'd first like to congratulate all of the age champions and invite them up to receive their certificate. All of these students showed amazing skill and hard work and should be very proud of their achievements. The 13-year-old female age champion was Mia Stevenson. The 13-year-old male champion was Jai Chopra. The 14 female champion was Kayla Selwood. The 14-year-old male champion is Jared Austin. The 15-year-old female champion is Sabine Pentecost. The 15-year-old male champion is Will Gleason. This year there were two 16-year-old female champions, and they were Chloe Aspros and Asia Grumble. The 16-year-old male champion was Ryan Austin. The 17-year-old female champion was Renee Selwood, who's not here. There were once again two champions for the 17 male category, and they were Ethan Lay and Anton Ort. The 20-year-old female champion was Rebecca Austin. And the 20-year-old male champion was Finn Clover. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the winners of the house. Despite our best efforts, the best house in the school, unfortunately, didn't make it to the top 3. So, could we please get a round of applause for the house that came in 4th place with 251 points? In 3rd place, with 431 points, was Hoffman House. Was brutal. The top 2 houses fought extremely hard, and the results were very close, separated by a margin of just 2 points. I would like to congratulate the house that came first with a whopping 566 points for their efforts. Everyone, please give a huge round of applause to Buckley House.
I would like to announce the winner of the House Banner competition for 2021. But before the announcement, I want everyone to give all the participants a round of applause for their brilliant work during the House Banner competition. Different, amazing, and eye-catching banners. From this reaction, I don't think I really have to announce it, right? I still have to do this. The color is yellow this year, and it is the winning house was cropped.
Congratulations to all the award winners, the student award winners, and to our student captains who ran the show today. I'd also like to congratulate you out there for the respectful nature that you took for this very, very important day in the Australian calendar, and it's very much appreciated. It shows how much Buckingham Park students are respectful for situations. Unfortunately, that's the end of this assembly, and